Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. So today I got to make some lilies and they kind of look like this. But for the stem I'm using 1/4 inch, 18 inches long, 1/4 inch round that is, 18 inches long. And then for like the main head of it, I got some 20 gauge steel. They're roughly about 5 inches across, 5 inches tall. The corners have been rounded off on 3 corners, and one has been squared off at roughly a 45 degree. Now these guys I cut a while back on, I got like one of those 10-inch shears, hand shears that you can pick up at Harbor Freight, Princess Auto. That's what I use to cut out these guys. So I'm gonna start on the stem first. So let's get the forge going and yeah, let's get into it. Now with the stem, I'm actually just going to round off the front of it and almost upset it. So I'm bringing it right to the edge of the anvil. And I'm kind of bringing it back on itself. I'm not doing heavy blows. This is so I can get kind of a rounded off tip on these to look like that little tiny, I don't even know what you call it, my wife would, but that little tiny stem in the calla lilies that like come up in the head. So I'm just gonna bring this back, trying to round it as best as I can. And that is all I do with the stem. Let me see if I can focus in on here. That's all I do with the stem, is just that little detail on the end. But what I'll do is I'll actually heat up this whole bar just to burn off any oil that might be on it, because this is cold rolled. Now if I was using hot rolled, I wouldn't bother doing that. Now with the head pieces, I'm actually going to heat them up. The reason why I'm doing that is because this is going to be cold rolled, and it's going to have a little bit of stress already built in from the milling process. So I'm going to heat it up just to relieve that stress a little bit. Also take off the oil from them. I'm not going to put them in for long, just enough to bring them up to almost a really dull red heat. Okay, now that both the stem and the head has cooled down a little bit, I'm going to take it over to my bench grinder with a wire wheel on it and wire wheel them nice and clean. Now for shaping the head of it, if you remember I said they had one squared off piece. Well, that's going to be the bottom of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first round it over my horn to get a nice curve on it. Then I'm going to bring it up onto the face of the anvil. I'm going to curve it a little bit more. Bring it back to the horn. And I'm going to take a little hammer and I'm going to start forming that around the horn. I'm not trying to hit where the steel is actually on the horn. I'm trying to go a little bit above it, just so I don't actually like put marks in the steel, or as least as possible. And as I'm curving that in, I'm going to bring it more and more around the horn. Then take it on the face of the anvil and squish it down a little bit more. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make them overlap each other. Kind of like that. Then once I get to that kind of point, I want to actually curl the edges of this head over. So I actually go to the side of the anvil and I start hitting them down right on the edge of the anvil. And I'll go around the whole head doing that. Okay, so now that I have it halfway bent over, I'm going to actually bring it up onto the horn, and I'm going to continue hitting those over top of the horn. And what I'm trying to do is roll that head, those little edges of the head over. And any kinks that I might have in the main body, like right here and stuff, I'll actually start flattening them over the horn. And I'll just continue going around, rolling that edge over. Taking any of those kinks out. And then once I get the edge rolled over, kind of like that, I'm going to actually start closing this up, and I'm going to use one of my stem pieces right in the end here to actually line the stem up with the hole that's down here. So right now I'm a little bit too small on that hole. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to my hardy hole, and I'm actually going to hammer this in. Then I'm going to place it where roughly I want it, and I'm going to start closing that so it's a nice closed hole around that stem. And that's just to make the next step, which is welding, a little bit easier to do and not have gaps that you have to fill up. And at this point, you're pretty well doing what you think looks right for you. And then we go on to the next step where we actually weld the head to the base or to the stem. Okay, to weld them, I'm using 2mm or 5/64 welding rod. This is a 6013. And I got the amps pretty low. What am I on? Just a little about 45. And when I'm welding these, I'm going to start with starting to weld down in the thicker 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to pop up to that thin sheet metal. Gonna do a tack on one side, gonna rotate it to the other side, make sure everything is aligned how I want it, and then I'll do another tack, and then I'll finish it, and then I'll just do welds on either side to finish that off. Gonna go around, double check my work. And that guy is ready to get wire wheeled. And if I need to, I'll clean that up with a flap disc after I wire wheel, just to see what my weld looks like. So pretty well, that's the calla lily made. Now, as for finishes, you could just lacquer it how it is and sell it with, you know, bare steel, looking nice with a nice lacquer. What I used to do way back in the day, I would leave the stem how it is, and I would actually color this with heat, much like you're tempering, right? And then lacquer the whole thing. But I found that it actually sells better if the stem is painted with Rust-Oleum rust paint or any rust paint. That's a nice solid green color. And then for the head, I actually started using, it's an automotive paint by Durup Color. And it's their metal cast paint. And it's metallic, but it's a candy coat. So you actually still see some of the texture in the steel, like the highlights of the steel. And this is actually good for outside use too. And ever since I started using these guys, they sell better. So that's what I'm gonna do with the paint. Now, this comes in red, purple, green, I think orange, yellow. Canadian Tire does have green, purple, blue, and red. Well, some Canadian Tires, not all of them. You'll have to check. But I know the company itself does sell also an orange and a yellow. I have seen them on Amazon. I probably will link down below for the Amazon. Yeah, so let's get painting. Now, the metal cast is a very thin paint, and it goes better if you do a lot of light coats as opposed to, you know, one heavy coat. It runs really easy. Nice thing about this paint is it does dry quick, so you can actually do all 4 coats in one day, no problem. Okay, so here's the lily all painted up. As you can see, those little highlights coming through there. So that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this, hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.